For the next hour, we are going to be listening to an innovations panel. A little bit I wanted to let you know where we started the innovation panel as part of our conference. We wanted to share some of the things that are going on locally, with some of our area activists, area organizers, about programs and approaches that might offer some unique solutions to racial and social injustice issues. Today, we are pleased to have 3 strong, smart, and active women in the work for confronting racial injustice. I'll introduce them briefly, and then we'll be having some questions that I'll ask at the panel, and then questions from the audience. We should have plenty of time for that also. We have Bianca Gomez. She's Gender Justice Coordinator at Freedom Inc. and racial justice activist, and has a degree in special education from the University of Akron and pursuing her master's at UW-Madison in Afro-American Studies. One of the programs she runs at Freedom Inc. is called Books and Breakfast, and she'll be talking about that today. We also have Clarissa Pearson, a team leader at Forward Solutions CSP at Journey Mental Health Center, a member of Immigrant Workers Union, and co-owner of a martial arts school. She has her associate's degree from MATC, Bachelor of Sociology, and Master's of Social Work from UW-Madison, and she'll be talking today about the Black and Latino Unity Picnic event, which she coordinates. And we also have with us Jasmine Zapata, MD, MPH, a practicing physician in Madison, author of several books, and a youth empowerment coach and motivational speaker. Today she'll be talking about the program Beyond Beautiful Girls Empowerment Movement and the Madison Inspirational Youth Choir. Welcome. So I will be rotating through. Thank you. First, I would like to ask each of you to share a little about yourself, your social group identities, what you do, to describe your program, and how your programs got started. So why don't we start on this end for this question.
Well, thank you guys for being here today and allowing me to take the time out with you to talk a little bit about the Black and Latino Unity Picnic. A little bit about myself is I'm an alumni. I already stated that I went here at UW. I try to do a lot of things, but also try to self-care. One of the main things that I've been doing lately is spending a lot more time with my martial arts school, but also being able to make sure that I'm involved in the community as well. And with that, I try to attend. It's impossible now to try to attend like every single community event, and I have to learn when to say no, but I do definitely try to be there and to be able to network and to meet different people and to be able to learn from their stories, and also being able to be true to the type of work that I've been doing with Immigrant Workers Union and the Black and Latino Unity Project. The people that I like to surround myself around or identify with is anybody who is willing to fight against injustice. And to me, that is very important, and also realizing and understanding the racial and the socio-economic challenges within our communities.
Hello, I'm Dr. Zapata, and as she mentioned, I'm a pediatrician and a preventive medicine doctor as well. A little bit about why I got started or why I'm so passionate about this topic is because for many years going through the medical field, I always knew I wanted to be a doctor to help people, but when I got to do my medical training, there was just so much that we couldn't do beyond talking to people and giving prescriptions and things like that. There were so many racial injustices, social disparities that I felt so helpless with trying to combat. And so when I was going through my training, I heard about a program called the Preventive Medicine and Public Health Training Program for Physicians, where you get your master's in public health and then you really immerse yourself in the community, public health approaches and preventive health approaches to some of the things that we face. And so I did that program, and that's kind of how I got started in my passion for some of these things in the programs that I started. I don't want to take up all the time, so I'll save some for later about exactly the very details of how I got started, but particularly with the Madison Inspirational Youth Choir, I love music, so I love to sing, write music, play the piano, performing arts, and I just was looking for an innovative approach to combine health promotion, resilience, overcoming obstacles with something that would get the kids excited rather than just come for a talk about it. So my mom and I started, we did a collaboration with Nehemiah nonprofit, and we formed this community choir for youth. It's for any youth in Dane County, but we focus in like the Allied area, Meadowwood, King James Way area, and we work with the youth to spread the message of hope, strength, and the power to overcome, and it's just been amazing. We've been doing it for about 7 years. And then with the Beyond Beautiful Girls Empowerment movement that I started, it really was a way to talk about health promotion because, as you all know, there's so many racial injustices and disparities within the healthcare field. And a lot of them are rooted back to, again, a lot of things dealing with self-esteem, resilience, stress relief, stress management. And so I try to figure out a way to make that exciting. So rather than, again, just coming to clinic and talking about stress management, resilience, healthy choices, STDs in a clinical setting where you only have 15 minutes with a patient, a little kid, where, remember when your parents get kicked out the room and it's all awkward? So instead of that, it's just really awkward, and you have a little 15-minute talk about sex, drugs, alcohol. It all started with sleepovers at my house. And then they kept growing and growing. So we're packing like 20 girls in my house. We play games, have fun all night, do all kind of fun pranks on each other. And then at like 1 in the morning, then they start spilling their guts about boys, relationships, sex, all kind of stuff. And I was like, man, I really have something going here with combining music, beauty, and then we start really digging into issues. So out of that turned into the book that I wrote, Beyond Beautiful for Girls, and then we started doing live workshops and things outside of that, mixing music, entertainment with all that stuff, and just put it all together. So that's a little bit of how I got started, but I'll pass it on.
Hi, I'm Bianca Gomez. I'm one of the gender justice coordinators at Freedom Inc. I don't know how many people have heard about Freedom Inc. before? Oh, that's good. So we are a Black and Southeast Asian women and queer-led organization. We focus on ending violence within and against our communities. And we focus on a wide range of issues, including domestic violence, sexual assault, police violence, homelessness, youth justice. We say like our community is our campaign. So whatever the needs of the community are, that's kind of what we focus on. My role in the organization is the gender justice coordinator, like I said. So I do advocacy work for survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault, specifically for Black women and youth. And I also do a lot of the political education for our youth programs, including a Black teen girls group and the Books and Breakfast program. So the Books and Breakfast program idea actually came from Hands Up United, which is a Black liberation organization in St. Louis, Missouri. I followed them on social media for a long time and saw that what they were doing and thought it would really be a good idea to have a similar program for our youth here in Madison. And it's really also a tradition of Black liberation movements throughout history, from like the Freedom Summer and the Black Panther Party's free breakfast program. And I really wanted to, or our organization really wanted to focus on kids who our school system is failing, quite frankly, and we wanted to teach literacy and also social justice, things that were culturally specific to our youth. And it was intended to only last for about 4 weeks. It was kind of like a pilot program, and then people started hearing about it, and it became a full-time summer program, and the kids are like begging me to have it be a year-long program because they loved it so much. So that was really exciting.
Okay, thank you. I forgot to mention at the beginning also that as a reminder to make sure to feel free to use the Twitter account that we have. That would be #SW Confront Injustice, all one word, on your account. So I wanted to make sure. And if you have questions, we will also have the traditional question and answer time, but if you would rather put it on and tweet the question, we'll try to be monitoring that and also take those questions as well. The next question would be, could you briefly tell us how you approach combating racial injustice in your work, and what your program is, how it's more innovative in your field? So this time should we start in the middle and go both ways?
Okay. So my field is healthcare field, and are you all familiar with county health rankings model? If you are, raise your hand. Okay, not as many as when you, but so basically, with the School of Medicine and Public Health, they helped to design a big evaluation system that started in Wisconsin and then spread nationwide, where it's called county health rankings. We're basically based on a lot of different health indicators. They rank the different counties in the state. So it's just to kind of make a little friendly competition, but to also bring awareness to some of the disparities that are going on, and racial disparities and different health indicators is something that they look at. And so one of the biggest findings that they had, and they had a great model, and it shows that only 20%, everybody say 20%,
20%
of health outcomes are based on what happens in the hospital and clinics. And the other 80%, everybody say 80%? 80%, because that food was good, just making sure nobody's falling asleep back there and sleeping. So the other 80% is based on one's environment, social economic factors, and then personal behavior. And so when I saw that statistic, it just blew my mind, because I've been in school literally since I was 5 years old, because I went straight through, elementary school, through college, through medical school, through my master's, to now my fellowship in public health, straight through school. I never stopped. So I've been in school like more than 25 years, just straight. And when I saw that, like, I spent all this time just to impact only 20% of health outcomes, I was just so upset. Like, this is not enough what we're doing in the hospital and clinics. So I really focused a lot on my work of like, what are ways that I can get outside of the clinic walls to really make a change, because that's not the model really that the healthcare system is focused on right now. It's really just focused on, the more acute care things, more reactive than preventive. And so I think that's a little bit innovative in my field. A lot of people are already doing it. That's why I love coming to spaces like this, because everybody's excited about social determinants of health and upstream factors. But in the healthcare field, it's really behind the curve on that. So in my field, this is very, very innovative that I'm doing this. For everybody else, it kind of is like, what is the right choice? But I'm trying to be an innovator in that way. So I think from my perspective, that's how it is.
For Bianca next.
Oh, yeah. So Freedom Inc. is a social justice organization, so it's really embedded in our work. And again, it's very important for us to be culturally specific. So although we're Black and Southeast Asian, we also recognize that we're an intimate coalition, but we have our differences in how we need to approach working with our people. So I specifically work with Black women and Black youth, and we have advocates that specifically work with Khmer women and youth. We have advocates that specifically work with Hmong women and youth. And I think that it's important to recognize the particular ways people experience violence. So Black survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault have a unique experience that's different than white survivors, right? They can't rely on the state and police in the same way that other people can, right? And what I've learned from working with Southeast Asian communities, they have a different experience, like Hmong and Khmer communities have a different experience than East Asian communities, so I think it's really important to understand the specific needs of the groups that we're working with, right? That if a Khmer person comes in the office and is like, hey, I need services, I can't be like, you gotta go, right? But I'm trained, my specialty is working with Black women and youth. And I think that's something that's really unique about our organization. I also think that it's important for people to have a transformative experience and not just a transactional experience when they're getting services. So for example, if someone comes in and says, look, I'm dealing with this issue with police harassment or police violence, we're gonna make sure that their basic needs are met through direct services. We're gonna try our best to get them legal guidance and legal support. We're gonna connect them to mental wellness services so that they can deal with any of the trauma that the interaction caused. But we also provide political education and leadership development and say, I understand that this happened to you as an individual and we want to support you, but this is not unique to you. This is the experience that a lot of people in our community are dealing with. So let's talk about some of the root causes of this violence. Let's talk about how this impacts other people in our community. And then our hope is that they become community organizers, right? And they're the ones leading the movement around these issues and combating these issues. So I think the same is true for our Books and Breakfast program. We provide a service, right? Our kids get a hot, healthy meal every Saturday. But we're also creating leaders in our movement. We're also creating freedom fighters. And that's kind of that was our goal in creating the program. Like, we had programs for teens, we had programs for elders. We're like, we shouldn't wait till somebody has this experience to teach them and provide political education. We should start with our babies. So for us, it was like, if this person never comes back to Freedom Inc., never thinks about Freedom Inc. again, at least they have this foundational knowledge of body safety, of gender identity, that they feel good about themselves and feel good about their culture. So yeah, I think understanding the importance of cultural specificity is important.
Thanks. Clarissa?
So with the Black and Latina Unity Picnic, the reason why that actually came about was back in 2008, my partner went out to California, and there was a summit out there. And he stated that, I think it was about 300 to 500 people for the weekend, and they talked about a lot of different issues that were being faced in their communities. And he stated that there was good conversation, but it didn't go to that next level. There was a lot of, I would say, disappointment, anger, scapegoating, different things. And it was a good start, but he said that the conversation needed to continue. So we talked about it, and we decided to start it up in 2009. However, when I started to tell people that I'm gonna do this, my Black and Latino friends were like, "Are you crazy? Do you know you're gonna have Black people and Latino people and in the same place?" And so I was like, I didn't get it. I was like, yeah, so, and they're like, I don't know about this. So even the Madison Police Department showed up at the event, and I'm still like, I don't get it. And so one thing I will say is that I was glad that it went as smoothly as it did, and I didn't foresee anything negative happening. But one of the things is that over the past years in Dane County, especially with the increase in population with the Latinos, is that what has happened is I believe our communities with the Black and the Latino community, there's been a lot of scapegoating, a lot of pointing fingers, a lot of sometimes people's thoughts are like, oh, well, they're taking our jobs, oh, so-and-so's treating them better. And what happens is that sometimes when people come to this country, that they don't also understand other people's challenges at times also. So what happens sometimes in the workforce is that sometimes certain Blacks are like, well, they're taking our jobs. And it's not just Blacks, but it can be everybody. But the thing about it is that was kind of sad was not realizing that yes, they are working because they have to take care of their family. So they might accept a job that is $5 or $7 an hour, when if you were working, they probably would have to pay you $14 an hour with benefits or so forth. And not really acknowledging those struggles and how our society, but our system divides us and pits us against each other. And so, it was challenging to be able to, at times, to bring people together that first year, even though it was a good event, is to be able to open up that space, a safe space where people can actually talk about their issues and what they're facing, and then realizing, oh, you know what? I want the same for my kids too. I want a good education. I want them to have good jobs. I want good housing. I want, we all want good things for our community and for our children, but it needs to be talked about, because sometimes what happens is if you think that what you see is the actual truth, but not being able to have that open dialogue and communication with people, they're gonna have those type of mindsets and so forth. And so taking what I've learned over the years from our picnic is also bringing that up, trying to in different ways at work. However, it's challenging at times because I'm the only Black clinician or social worker actually there, in my CSP. So it's kind of hard to be able to bring up those topics because I don't want to be the person that, oh, here's bringing this up again, but it's only me. So how do I know that other people care? But so I come out slowly that sometimes what I'll do is I say, hey, there's an event. Like I'll tell when we have our staff meetings, as I encourage people to go to different things. Hey, it's out there. This is the date, the place, whatever. And then I'll remind them again. I have to start out slowly because I feel like that sometimes, this is just my opinion, is that I've been in a lot of places where I am the only Black person. Or the only person of color. And so you don't want to seem like that you're pushing your agenda necessarily on people that may not necessarily be interested right away, but then also to be able to explain to them why it is important for them to be interested.
Okay, thank you. The next question has you look at both roadblocks or challenges that you might run up against, and I know you had started talking some about those, Clarissa, and then some of the next steps or plans that you might have for the future. So I think then it would be, but Bianca, we'll start with you.
I think our biggest challenge in a lot of our programs at Freedom Inc., including Books and Breakfast, has been funding. We want this program to be year-round, but we don't have the funding and resources to make it so. I would love to give each of our youth a copy, each of our kids a copy of every book every week when they go home, so that they can keep them and continue to read them and grow. But I think the same is true for a lot of liberation organizations. Movements haven't been well funded, and I think that's true for Freedom Inc. as well. And I also think one of the challenges that I dealt with, like having been trained as a teacher, I didn't want to default to the curriculum that I learned in school and the curriculums that I learned to teach. I wanted to be very intentional about how we talk to our kids and what we talk to them about. So I didn't want to just repeat the whitewashed history that they learn in K through 12 and at universities, quite frankly. So even thinking about Rosa Parks, we didn't limit that conversation to the bus boycott, right? We talked about her work as an organizer in combating sexual violence that Black women were dealing with from white people on the buses as they were riding back to their communities. So I think that was really important to continuously reflect. Am I using liberatory human rights framework, and am I embedding that in the curriculum as I'm creating it, or am I just repeating repeating the cycle of what they've already learned in school, or am I teaching them how to push back against that?
Thanks. Clarissa, why don't we go to you next?
Roadblocks and challenges. I think one of the biggest things is to get people on board to understand the challenges that we face in our communities. And I feel like one of the biggest challenges is that sometimes it's they throw a bone and we all try to go after it to get it, and it's only one bone instead of two. And so to be able to explain why both communities are important and that they are valued. And it's really difficult because sometimes from certain Black organizations or so-called Black leaders are well, this is what needs to happen. But I'm how do you know that? Are you talking with the people? Just because, and I admit, just because that I'm educated does not mean that I know everything and that I know every answer and question to the Black community, but it's to be able to have people at the table that are actually being affected and going through those challenges and being faced. And the same as I feel with the Latino population as well as in Dane County, is I feel that one of our biggest challenges I feel within our organization is that the majority of the people that are members or help out, they work 2 to 3 jobs, they are volunteers, they give 110%. Everything, our event is free. So we provide food to at least 200 people. And this is not just a little hot dog here and good. No, we have really good food, but that's a challenge, I feel, because we want to continue to do this, but we're continuing to do it off of donations and volunteers. And even when it comes to like our performers, our cultural performers, the people that talk about the discussions and we have the dialogue, all of that, everything is free, but it needs more. And I feel like there's so many other organizations and different things are going on, and also we live in Wisconsin, so everything happens in the summer. And so to be able to get to one thing and another, and then I have to hurry up and be like, okay, I gotta go ask this person for this donation, because if not, then so-and-so is gonna get this before I do, and then they're gonna say, I'm sorry, we would have. So I feel like that's really a big challenge, but I also think one of the biggest challenges that I've also ran into is a lot of the faith-based organizations and churches. I have been trying and trying. They say, oh, that's nice. Yeah, send me a flyer, give me a call. I'll get back to you. Nothing. So I just feel like that, from both sides, I think that if certain institutions are not saying that this is important, then why should other parts of the community think that it's important?
Thank you. Dr. Jasmine?
I think it's important. Thank you. So as far as challenges, I think one personal one for me is I get extremely passionate about the certain topics that I deal with, especially from some of the clinical things that I've seen. So for example, I'll never forget the day, or just one scenario. You all know about MedFlight, the emergency helicopter that flies. So when I was going through my pediatrics training, there was a young girl, she was about 13 years old, and got flown in because they found that she had tried to hang herself at a church, actually. And so she was on life support. I was writing all the orders and drips and different things like that. And I just remember just being so interested and so passionate about my mind was like putting the numbers in and doing the medical part, but my heart was just reaching out for her family, thinking about and learning about all the different, how finances related to it, how depression, how unstable family situation, just so many social factors that led to that situation. And those memories just drive me and make me so passionate about these topics. So in a way, that's a challenge, because it makes it hard for me when I don't see the solutions immediately happening, so then I can get frustrated. Another example is I work in labor and delivery newborn nursery, so take care of the babies when they come out. If there's something wrong with them, we help resuscitate them. So there was a young mom whose baby came out extremely early, at 26 weeks pregnant. And so the baby came out, and I was working with the team of neonatologists, and the baby came out limp, skin kind of peeling off. We couldn't get a heart rate. We rushed the baby up to the NICU, and they sent me to have to go tell the mom, like, your baby's not gonna make it. You have to bring the mom up here when she's still recovering from the delivery, to come up to tell her that the baby wasn't gonna survive and to say your last goodbyes. And it turned out that the baby came early and had all those problems because mom had a certain STD that transferred to the baby while the baby was in her uterus. And so when the mom, it was so hard because she was crying and asking us, what did I do? Was it something I did wrong? Was it something with me? And normally, and you would never, ever, ever say this to a patient. Usually in that situation, you're like, there's nothing you did, nothing you could have prevented. You usually say that, but in my head, I thought to myself, sexual transmitted diseases, are those things that could have been prevented if we know this is what caused it? And not saying it was her fault at all, but then if you just look at all the social factors related around sexual practices, teens, I have in my community choir little 9 and 10-year-olds talking to each other about oral sex that they've given. It's really heartbreaking. So when I see cases like that, it kind of has scarred me in my heart, like, this is a serious issue, I have to work on it. So a challenge for me, it sometimes can be frustrating, and then I realize that I'm only one person. So, okay, I'm getting to how I'm overcoming it. So that still is a challenge, but one of the ways that I've overcome it is, and that's also, I believe, innovative, is through the power of book writing. Because everyone always says, Jasmine, you're an awesome, energetic person, but what are you gonna do when you're like in 100 years when you're dead and gone, how are you going to keep making a difference? You can't just keep it be you being in front of someone. What are ways you can spread your message nationally and internationally? So that's how I got started with book writing. So that's one of the ways I've overcome. So I have books on like financial, upstream determinants of health, mental health, and stories of overcoming, and then the young, especially the one for young women. I have one for young men coming out later this year, but for young women, talking about inner beauty, self-esteem, resilience, courage, just really overcoming obstacles. And a lot of the different work that I've done at those sleepovers and events, I really poured my heart into this, where it's like reflection questions they can answer, quotes from other women about what it means to be beyond beautiful, meaning you're not just what's on the outside. You have so much resilience, strength, and things on the inside that can help you get through things. So it deals with a lot of the different topics. So that was one way that I was able to overcome not being able to be everywhere, because once I got my message in a book, now it's able to spread all over the United States and even to Nigeria. And so the next thing that we were supposed to do, plans for the future in this same one. Oh, okay. My plans for the future would be to connect with as many schools, agencies, church groups, just community groups, to really get that message out. And then as far as future as well, one thing that it's kind of turned into is like, it's almost like the work that I'm doing is almost like a nonprofit, but I'm too busy right now to start a whole nonprofit. There's so oversaturation, actually, of, as you allowed, you know, of nonprofits. So my plan for the future is to be able to partner with nonprofits to get written into existing grants or programming, so that we can partner together. So partnerships is my way to overcome some of the obstacles, and plans for the future, and then write more books. So that's my big plan.
I think a lot of the people here in the audience would like to be thinking about, you probably have ideas in your brain of what you might want to do if you could, or other steps for action. So I think, what advice might you have as panelists for people here, that how could they put their ideas into action, and either tips to avoid or ideas that you might have for them. So let's see, who did we start with? I think it'd be Clarissa.
Okay. Wow. Let's see here. What advice? I think it's very important that you really start to consider and think about what you're passionate about, and really be active, be awake. I think that even in the line of work, some people are like, yeah, I do my part, I'm a social worker, but when I get off at work at 4:30, that's it. Well, okay, all right. Then when something comes up and you're affected by it, then you're going to want somebody else to invest in that. And so you really have to think about the role that you play, not just only at your job, but also in your community. Think about your advocacy and how far you're willing to take that. Because I think that you can still be active in different ways. You may not be the person that goes out there and march, but you might be the person that's at the table. You might help with a proposal. There's so many different things that I feel like that you can do. For some people, it might just be the fact that you might be at an event and you know that maybe your friends or your coworkers or whoever, it could even be your family members, are saying things that are inappropriate, but you have to call them out. Maybe it's not in front of everybody else. You pull them off to the side and say, hey, I don't think that you should say that, or maybe what you said probably could have offended somebody. I think that right now, especially, is that you have to stand for something, because if you don't, you'll fall for anything. And I think that some people say, oh, I don't want to get involved. I'm not really political. But you know what? Everything is political, you know? And so if you're just standing there and just trying to pretend like you don't see anything, you're not helping. You're actually being part of the problem. So I think that, like I stated before, is to find something that you're passionate about and get involved.
Thanks.
Yes, I would agree with all that good stuff. And I would say also, if you have, so collaboration is one that I truly believe in, but if you have an idea, I would say just jump and do it. instead of, there's something called analysis paralysis. I've seen so many people, and even myself, I get caught into it sometimes, where you have an idea, but then you just go on Google, and the more and more you research, the more overwhelmed you get, because you find all these different things that you needed and things like that. So I would say for some things, it can't wait. Like, I'm a person who really likes to take action right away. That's good and that's bad, because planning is important, but sometimes, like, when I look at these big programming and things that are planning for a 10-year plan of how to help some of these young women I work with, I'm like, well, that's great, but we need a solution tonight. We need something right now. So I would just say, for some things it's okay to like wait and plan, but for some things, just if you have an idea, just jump out and do it. Something I'll say, hopefully you guys don't judge me for this, but for example, like with my books, I started an LLC, but I never actually, because our book launch in Atlanta was happening for one of the books of She Conquered, where we wrote a book about overcoming obstacles, mental health, resilience, and things like that. So the book launch was coming up, but I needed to start an LLC in order for basically to get the book out. So I just started it, and I didn't have a business plan. So if you have a business, you have to have a business plan. And I didn't have a business plan. I kind of just jumped into it. And then things have just, over time, then I've gotten more organized. So sometimes you just have to jump and make solutions, jump and do things, and then you'll figure out how it's going to work afterwards. And that has just been really a theme of my life. I'll have opportunities come up and just say, yes, I can do that. And then I go get off the phone like, crap, I never did that before. How am I gonna do this? And then I will research and figure it out after, versus spending years and years. There's been people saying, I've been writing my book for 15 years, but they have to research, they have to do this. And a lot of the things I've done, I just jump in it and then kind of figure out after. But I have been successful. Well, I've had failures, but I've had successes. But as far as confronting racial and social injustice, I just encourage everyone, if you have an idea, a dream, or a vision, even if it's something really, really small, just jump and do it, or call that person. Just get out there and get your feet wet, even if you don't have a perfect plan.
Advice that I would have, I think it's important for people to check their savior complex, especially white people, quite frankly, working with black communities, poor communities, other communities of color. In my work, I'm not somebody's spokesperson. I'm somebody that's an advocate in helping people actualize their power and exploring what works best for them. I shouldn't be telling anybody what they need to do or making decisions for people. I'm co-advocating with, I believe she's a social worker right now, and we're trying to figure out just housing and other resources, and they're like, oh yeah, just have the organization call me, just have the person call me. I'm like, no, this ain't your situation, right? We're gonna call the person that's impacted and see what she wants to do. I'm not gonna decide where they're gonna live or decide what food pantry works best for them. Like, it's our responsibility to support people, but not to think for them. And I think that happens a lot in fields where people are providing services. I also think it's really important to think about the ways that your field or your work is inherently a part of the problem. Think about the work that you're doing. Is it inherently racist? Is it inherently anti-black? Is it inherently perpetuating other systems of oppression? And it's not always easy to be the one that calls it out, but you have a responsibility to do that if you have the analysis and understanding. When I was working in schools, I'm like, damn, this is my first day and I already got to call this person out, right? But if I don't do that, think about, and I have the analysis and understanding of why those things happen in our schools and in our other institutions. Think about the kids that are impacted that don't have the knowledge and understanding of why those things happen. So you have a responsibility to call it out. I also suggest thinking about the knowledge and skills that you have and how you can support other people and support movements, right? Black people are very smart. We're smart enough to decide what our needs are, but we don't always have the resources, right? Poor communities don't always have the resources. So think about sharing your skills, doing a skills share. Think about your financial well-being and how other people don't have those resources. And it's not about charity work, right? It's not about giving a one-time donation that makes you feel good. It's about long-term support and a responsibility to support other people that don't have those same resources.
Okay, thank you. Before we get to the questions from the audience, I have one final one. I'd like to ask you if there's anything else that you'd like to add that you didn't get a chance to yet. And also, if you have best ways for people to reach you, if they have further questions or a little other information about any other materials that you brought today for people. So let's see, let's start in the middle. Dr. Jasmine?
Okay. Yes, I would like you, what else would I like to add? I would like to say thank you for everybody just being here. Just the fact that you're here and caring about this issue is just a blessing to me, because remember, I feel like I have to do everything by myself. So just to see everybody here, all of us coming together collectively to fight for this issue is just really encouraging. As far as best ways to reach me, I also like to add that, like I said, for my future goals, I'm just focused on collaboration. So please, please, please email me or contact me, or if you know someone that's doing similar work or that I could connect with, please, please, please connect with me, or I just want to collaborate with everybody in here. So the best ways to reach me, if you have a pen, you can text message my, there's a text message system I have set up where I can get your messages. So if there's a way you would like to collaborate or want to get connected, the number you could text is 608-313-4004, and then just say your name and how you want to be connected, and I'll get that if it's easier to just do it for your phone. Or my email, you can email me, it's motivationalmd@gmail.com, motivationalmd@gmail.com. I also have, in the back, I have some of my books here and a bunch of pictures of some of the empowerment work that I do, and I also have physical business cards back there too, if you don't feel like writing it down right now.
Hints for people when they want to have things to have business cards and materials. Yes, absolutely. So let's see, Clarissa, and then.
Okay. Anything else that I'd want to add? I would just like to add, if there's anybody that wants to help plan and collaborate with the Black and Latina Unity Picnic, I would really appreciate it. It'll be our 10th year. Volunteers, get the word out, any donations. We would definitely appreciate it. I also just wanted to say that I think that since we've had the picnic and being able to bring people together, is that it's really nice to be able to see some of the fruits. It's just been awesome. Like there was two families that were at the event, and then they invited each other to a quinceañera and then to a birthday party, and just to see them and like how it has grown, and to be able to break down some of those barriers and be able to really to form real lasting relationships, I think has been awesome. And just being able to learn from people, I think, is one of the things that I really like about how we set up our picnic. Is we don't necessarily pick the topic. We have all these different topics, and we ask people to choose what they think is most important and what they would like to talk about. And I think that that's something too, is that when working with people, is that don't just treat them like a checklist. Ask them what they want. And really be engaged and be genuine. And it's okay to say that you don't know, that you don't have all the answers, but maybe you can say, you know what, let's work together, let's figure it out. So I think that that's really important. And then best way to reach me is you can reach me by my email. It's Clarissa, CLP@gmail.com. Otherwise, you can also find me on Facebook, or we also have Immigrant Workers Union. We have a Facebook page as well. Or you can come and talk to me later afterwards.
Okay, thanks. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So I brought some of the books that we read during our Books and Breakfast program. I think it's also important to mention that we pointed out things that we thought that were problematic and discussed them with the kids. One of the books that we read was about like being grateful for what you have, and I think that's really important. I think a lot of like parents make sacrifices to give their kids things, you know, even when they don't have the money and resources. But we also wanted to teach our kids that you deserve more. You deserve a good place. It's important to be grateful for what you have, yes, in the home that you have and the resources that you have, but it's also okay to say that, no, I deserve more and I deserve to live a happy and healthy life. So yeah, that's just one of the examples of some of the things that we pointed out to our kids that we thought were important but also had limitations. I also brought some general Freedom Inc. cards so people can follow us on social media or look at our website. My personal email is bgomez@freedom-inc.org. So if you want to contact me, you're welcome to do that.
Okay, thank you. Now would be some times if we have some questions, we either will take the microphones around, or if anyone who has been monitoring the site that might have some questions that you would put in our Twitter. So any questions that you'd like to ask? Over here, thank you. Oops, we can't hear you. I'm afraid we need to get.
Excuse me, Dr. Zapata, where is your book for young women? Where is that available?
Yes, I have a couple copies that I brought here today in the back that I'm selling, but also it's available on Amazon, and I'm so excited because it's in the Madison Public Library System and Verona Public Library System. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. Yes.
All right. Other questions? Yes, up front here.
My question is for Bianca. I'm wondering if you have a list of the books that you use with the kids that you're working with. I think they'd be wonderful references for all of us, but also if we're interested in making donations to studies that talk about wish every kid could go home with a book. How we do that.
So you're asking other books that the list of the books.
The list of the books and how we can help support getting those books into the kids.
So I brought some of the books here. One of the books that I couldn't find, one of the kids probably took it home, that's okay, was My Body Belongs to Me. I can't remember who the author was, but that was like one of the most important ones, and teaching kids that they have rights over their bodies, that people have to respect their bodies, and that they have to respect other people's bodies. I thought that was a really, really powerful curriculum that we did. And one of my other favorite books, it was Who Are You? And it was talking about gender identity, the different types of identities that even with these identities, it doesn't fit into a neat box. And I think the people who are helping us plan that, like, we were so worried. We're like, how are we gonna explain gender identity with the kids? This is kind of new to me, and I really want to give the best analysis and not be problematic. And like the kids kind of like did a teach back when the lesson was over, and they were playing in school, and they were like, freedom of gender expression, duh, like why wouldn't you do that? So that was a really good experience for us. So these are some of the books that we read. If you want to email me, I can send you a full list.
If there's not a question, can I do something? Okay. Okay, because it's only 12:52. So this is one of the things that I like to do when I go speak anywhere, just give a little sneak peek of one of the other things that's cool and innovative. Did you ever know there could be rapping doctors? No? Do you believe it? Yes. So I didn't get to go into the entire history behind Beyond Beautiful, but that's the name of the girls' empowerment book. But again, it's based off of the premise that you're more than just your outside, because there's so much pressure in society about the way you look and things like that. So I wrote a poem called Beyond Beautiful, but then I turned it into a rap. So again, I love music and combining it, and so can I do the rap?
Oh, of course.
Okay. All right. So I just need somebody to be like, give me a beat. little bit. I'm working on my soundtrack one day. I want to make a music video. Okay, will you come up here? Okay. All right. Do you want to get? Are you gonna sit down? Yeah. Can I get the cordless mic? The cordless mic.
Cordless mic.
The one that was over there. Okay. So I can stand up. All right.
You can come up here.
Yeah, come here, help be my beat. Do you know how to do like beatbox or what do you do? I need it like that. I can.
Just like boom, boom, boom. I can do it.
And don't go too fast though.
I will go real
Okay, I need this mic though.
slow. Okay.
Yeah. There's another.
Is it
No,
another
there's
one?
another one right there.
Can I use this one?
No, I don't want you to have to bend.
Or can I use?
You can't take too long. Okay.
So here we go. Here we go.
And everybody can help clap a little too.
Okay.
But we gotta go. Don't go too fast. Okay.
Don't go too fast.
Here we go.
Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. 2, 3, go. Today will be a great day. I'll achieve all I set my mind to. I cannot be stopped, and I can do anything I want to. Today will be a great day. I'll achieve all I set my mind to. I cannot be stopped, and I can do anything I want to. Why? Because I'm beyond beautiful. Hey, I'm beyond beautiful. I'm courageous, I'm resilient, I'm confident, I'm creative. I am talented, intelligent, unique, innovative. I'm worth it, I deserve it, I am treasured, I am loved. I deserve every blessing that is coming from above. I'm courageous, I'm resilient, I'm confident, I'm creative. I am talented, intelligent, unique, and innovative. I'm worth it, I deserve it, I am treasured, I am loved. I deserve every blessing that is coming from above. So today will be a great day. Hey, I'll achieve all I set my mind to. I cannot be stopped, and I can do anything I want to. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Right, Dr. Jazz, the rapping doctor.
All right, good. Got people thinking and
That's my
moving.
backup career if I
All right.
be a rapper. Maybe I'll get.
Well, thank you. I think these are, I'd like to thank them for all the wonderful ideas that they're sharing and getting people motivated to think about just doing something and not waiting forever as far as doing stuff. Yes, thank you very much.